Snow still clung to the curbs of Lansing, Michigan, when Kareem Tolliver walked through the front doors of Millstone High for the first time. No cheers, no curious stares. Just the bell's metallic scream and a flood of strangers brushing past him as if he didn't exist. He moved quietly, backpack faded, hoodie drawn close. The kind of kid who measured every room before speaking in it. In Detroit, he'd learned silence wasn't weakness. It was survival. His uncle called it moving invisible. Inside first period math, the teacher pointed him to an empty seat without a word. No one asked where he was from. No one cared. The only sound was the scratch of pencils and the whisper of sneakers. Kareem exhaled. Good. Attention meant danger where he came from. But Millstone High wasn't Detroit. Here, the hallways shined, the kids wore brand-name shoes, and their laughter came easy, loud, careless, and cruel in ways they didn't even hear. At lunch on the third day, Kareem sat alone in the back corner with spaghetti, a banana, and chocolate milk. He'd barely taken a bite when he heard it, the snicker that slices through peace like glass. "Yo, what is that? You bring that from home or something?" He looked up. Brock Simmons, tall, white, varsity jacket confidence dripping from every inch, stood grinning with two teammates. Kareem didn't answer. He just kept eating. "Man's eating like it's the Great Depression," Brock mocked, loud enough for the room to laugh. Some did, some didn't. But the sound carried. Kareem stared at his tray, swallowed, stood, and walked away. No words, no reaction. That silence should have ended it. But for boys like Brock Simmons, silence wasn't surrender, it was challenge. And he hated being ignored. The next few days sharpened the edges. A shove in science class, books knocked to the floor, a marker scrawl on his locker, charity case. Each act, a test. Each time, Kareem passed it by without flinching. After school, he rode the number 12 bus to the far side of town, to Reggie's boxing gym, a warehouse that smelled of sweat and leather. Uncle Reggie, a mountain of calm in a worn tracksuit, looked up from taping a student's wrists. "You good, nephew?" "Yeah," Kareem muttered, "just school." Then hit the pads, let it out. No more words, only rhythm, jab, pivot, hook, breathe. The sound of fists on leather steadied him better than prayer. He wasn't fighting anyone. He was reminding himself who he wasn't. And by Friday, his name drifted through the locker rooms like static. The new kid's got an attitude. He doesn't talk. He just stares. In gym, coach paired him with Brock for basketball drills. The ball smacked Kareem's chest harder than necessary. "Come on, Tolliver, show me what you got." Kareem bounced once, twice, passed it back, firm, direct, echoing. The thud made a few heads turn. Brock's smile thinned. "That's cute." That was the moment it changed, when a harmless rivalry turned into obsession. And the days ahead were small wars fought in whispers. Gum on his locker handle. Sneakers tripped in hallways. Mocking laughter that trailed like shadows. But Kareem's silence, that same weapon that once kept him safe, became gasoline on their fire. And Brock? He was already holding the lighter. At lunch, the taunts grew bolder. "You from Detroit, right? You bring your bulletproof vest or leave it at home?" The table roared. A few students looked down, ashamed, but none spoke up. Kareem just unwrapped his sandwich. Across the room, one kid whispered, "Dude doesn't even blink." Brock grinned. "He's not crazy. He's just another hood story waiting to happen." That line cut deeper than any shove. It wasn't insult. It was dismissal. And dismissal burns slow. That night, back at the gym, Reggie watched his nephew strike the bag harder than usual. "You holding something back." By midweek, new rumors spread. Stories of a criminal past, fights that never happened, a record that didn't exist. Brock's crew whispered them into truth. Kareem heard the lies float past like smoke and said nothing. Until Friday afternoon. The wind was sharp. Snow dusted the parking lot behind the gym. Most students had gone. Brock waited near the dumpsters with two sidekicks, Logan and Ty, pretending to hang out. Kareem turned the corner, earbuds in, backpack slung over one shoulder. "Yo, Tolliver." He pulled out an earbud. "What? You think you're tough?" "No. You act like it." "I act like I want to be left alone." Brock stepped closer. "You don't get to choose that." Kareem's hands stayed loose. "You done?" "Not yet." The bell rang somewhere inside the school, but out here, time held its breath. 3 against 1, and not a teacher in sight. What happened next would flip everything: the story, the power, and the quiet boy no one noticed. Snowflakes drifted like ash in the wind as Kareem Tolliver stood alone behind the gym. The sky was gray, the air sharp, and his breath fogged in slow, steady bursts. Across from him, Brock Simmons cracked his knuckles, flanked by his two shadows, Logan and Ty, both more eager than loyal. The hum of the city faded behind them. Even the sounds of lockers slamming and buses idling seemed distant now. It was just them, surrounded by silence that felt like the calm before a storm. "You really thought you could walk through the school like you're better than everyone?" Brock sneered. Kareem adjusted the strap on his backpack. "Never said that." "You didn't have to." Ty chuckled, man scared to talk. Kareem's eyes rose, steady and calm. "If I was scared, I wouldn't be standing here." That quiet confidence hit Brock harder than a punch. His smirk faltered. Then it hardened again. "You think you're tough?" "No." Kareem dropped his bag slowly, eyes locked. "I know how to survive." The shove came first, sudden, hard, meant to provoke. Brock's hand slammed into Kareem's chest. He stumbled a step back, but didn't swing. "Come on, Detroit boy," Brock taunted. "Show me that street fight." Kareem breathed through his nose, calm, measured. He remembered what Uncle Reggie always said. Control ain't weakness. Control is power with a leash. Logan laughed. "He's soft, bro. All talk." Then Brock shoved again, harder this time. Kareem's heel slipped on ice. His hand hit the dumpster behind him. The laughter echoed off the brick wall. Something inside him shifted. Not anger, not fear. Focus. He stood up straight. His voice was low, steady. "You done?" Brock grinned, stepping closer. "Not till you..." Kareem moved before the sentence finished. A lightning-fast jab cracked into Brock's jaw. The sound was sharp, a thwack that silenced every laugh. Brock stumbled back, eyes wide. "What the..." Before he could react, Kareem's left hand shot out again. Jab, hook, pivot. Fluid, trained, disciplined. Brock hit the ground, snow scattering beneath him. Logan lunged, but Kareem sidestepped, catching his arm, and using his own momentum to throw him into Ty. Both hit the pavement. It was over in less than 10 seconds. Brock sat up, dazed, blood on his lip. The smirk was gone, the confidence gone. He looked at Kareem, breathing heavy. You just jumped us." Kareem's tone stayed calm. "No, you invited me." Pause. He picked up his backpack, slung it over his shoulder and turned to walk away. Behind him, Ty whispered, "Man, he moves like he's trained." Logan groaned. "He is trained." Brock spat blood into the snow, humiliated, fury brewing. "This isn't over." Kareem didn't turn back. It is for me. And then, word spread faster than wildfire. By the next morning, every hallway in Millstone High buzzed with whispers. Brock got dropped. The new kid's a fighter. They say he boxed in Detroit. Some stories made him sound like a hero. Others painted him as a thug. Either way, Kareem was no longer invisible. He walked the halls quietly, head down, but eyes followed him. Some in awe, others in fear. And Brock was a ghost of his former self. He showed up with a bruised jaw and eyes full of venom. In gym, when the teacher wasn't looking, he muttered under his breath, "You embarrassed me, Tolliver. You'll pay for that." Kareem just walked away. But deep down, he knew humiliation doesn't fade. It festers. That afternoon, Kareem returned to the boxing gym. The bell over the door jingled softly. Uncle Reggie looked up from training a kid on the heavy bag. "You've been hitting harder lately. Trouble?" Kareem shrugged. "Just school." Reggie studied him. "You used your hands." Kareem hesitated, then nodded once. Reggie sighed. "You win?" Kareem looked away. It wasn't a fight. It was defense. Reggie nodded slowly. "Good. But listen to me, nephew. The second you throw a punch, people stop seeing defense. They just see violence. You understand?" Kareem nodded. "Yeah." "Keep your head down," Reggie warned. "You got a future. Don't let a fool pull you into his story." Kareem smiled faintly. "What if he already tried?" Reggie smiled back. "Then make sure the next chapter's yours." That night, the snow fell harder. The city lights shimmered through fog, painting the gym's windows gold. Kareem stayed late, working the bag until his knuckles ached. Each punch echoed like thunder, not from anger, but release. Every hit was a memory he refused to carry. Every breath was a promise to himself, stay in control. But outside the gym, in the parking lot, a dark sedan idled. Inside sat Brock, Logan, and Ty, bruised, bitter, and plotting. "He thinks he's safe here," Brock muttered, gripping the steering wheel. "We'll remind him this is our town." Ty hesitated. "You sure about this?" "Dude's not normal, man." Brock's knuckles whitened. "He's not tough. He's just trained. Next time, we'll make sure he doesn't get the chance to use it." Logan looked uneasy. "Next time?" Brock's eyes narrowed. "The school dance next week. He won't see it coming." The car's headlights cut through the snow as they drove off, their laughter fading into the cold. Meanwhile, Kareem walked home, breath misting in the air. The night felt too quiet, the kind of stillness that warned of a coming storm. He stopped under a flickering streetlight and looked up at the sky. Snow fell, slow and heavy, each flake melting on his skin. He didn't know it yet, but this fight, this simple clash of pride and silence, was about to spiral far beyond high school drama. It would drag in police, news crews, and a truth no one at Millstone was ready to face. He walked on, unaware that Brock wasn't just his bully anymore. He was about to become the spark that set the whole town on fire. Friday night came dressed in gold and blue lights. The Millstone High winter dance turned the gymnasium into something magical, at least for everyone else. Streamers shimmered, bass thumped through the floor, and the air buzzed with perfume and cheap cologne. For Kareem Tolliver, it was supposed to be just another night to stay invisible. He hadn't planned to come, but Lena Morales, the only classmate who treated him like a person, had insisted. "You've been hiding for 2 months," she'd said. "One night won't kill you." So there he was, standing near the bleachers in a clean black hoodie, watching lights swirl across the crowd. He wasn't dancing. He wasn't smiling. He was just existing, quietly. Across the room, Brock Simmons leaned against the punch table, fake smile plastered on his face, a bruise still faint on his jaw. His eyes, though, were sharp as knives, locked on Kareem. "He showed up," Brock muttered to Ty and Logan. "Perfect," Logan whispered. "You sure this is gonna work?" "Trust me," Brock said, smirking. "By tomorrow morning, he'll be gone for good." He looked across the dance floor at a group of kids recording TikToks near the DJ booth. "Everyone's got a camera now," he said. "Let's give them a show." The DJ switched tracks, slow lights, deeper bass. Couples filled the floor. Lena grabbed Kareem's arm. "Come on, one song." He hesitated, but her smile was stubborn. He finally nodded. For the first time since Detroit, Kareem let his guard down. They moved with the rhythm. Not fancy, not confident, but genuine. For a few minutes, he forgot the stares, the whispers, the rumors. Then Brock struck. Logan accidentally spilled his drink across Kareem's back. Cold punch soaked through the hoodie. The laughter was instant, loud, cruel, contagious. "He's bleeding, fruit punch," someone shouted. Kareem froze, every muscle locking. Lena reached for him. "Don't, it's not worth it." But Brock stepped forward, holding up his phone. "Smile for the camera, Detroit." Click. Flash. Then the lie stumbled backward, pretending to fall. He yelled, loud enough for everyone to hear. "He hit me. He hit me, man." The music cut out. Heads turned. Phones lifted. In seconds, the story twisted. Teachers rushed over. "Everyone, step back." Brock held his face, fake pain dripping from his voice. "He just snapped, I swear." Kareem stood still, heart pounding, eyes wide. "I didn't touch him," he said. Lena tried to speak. "He's lying." "Quiet," barked one of the teachers. "Both of you. Out now." Outside the gym, snow fell again. Silent, relentless. Two officers waited by the entrance, lights flashing blue and red across the parking lot. Someone had called the cops before the truth could breathe. Brock's crocodile tears flowed as he told his story. "He threatened me. He's been violent for weeks. Everyone saw it." Kareem's chest tightened. "You set this up," he said softly. Brock leaned close enough for only Kareem to hear. "You should have stayed in Detroit, charity case." Lena burst out of the doors, shouting, "It's a lie. I saw everything." But the officers were already leading Kareem toward the cruiser. Inside the back seat, red and blue lights painted his face. He didn't cry. He didn't shout. He just watched his reflection in the glass. A quiet boy turned into a villain again. At the station, an officer with gray hair took his statement. Kareem spoke calmly. "I didn't touch him. There are cameras in the gym. Check them." The officer sighed. "Kid, those cameras have been down for months. You've got a record?" "No." He nodded slowly, unconvinced. "You'll need a guardian to sign you out." Kareem leaned back, eyes on the ceiling. "My uncle's on his way." Hours later, Uncle Reggie Tolliver arrived, coat half-zipped, eyes burning with anger and disbelief. "What's this?" he demanded. The officer explained, then handed him the report. Reggie's jaw tightened as he read. "So my nephew gets arrested because some rich kid cried on cue?" "Sir, calm down." "I am calm," Reggie said, voice low but dangerous. "You better hope those kids didn't have a point. Lies don't fall apart on your watch." On the ride home, Kareem finally spoke. "They looked at me like they were waiting for me to mess up." Reggie kept his eyes on the road. "Because that's how the game's played, son. They push till you break, then act like you were born broken." Kareem stared out the window. "So what do I do now?" Reggie's voice softened. "You fight smarter, not harder. The truth's like water. You can't hold it back forever." At home, Kareem sat in his room, scrolling through his phone. Videos from the dance already filled his feed. Hashtags, comments. Hashtag Detroit kid. Hashtag violent student. Hashtag Brock the victim. None showed the beginning, only the end. The world saw what Brock wanted them to see. Lena texted, "I swear I'll fix this. I'm talking to the principal first thing tomorrow." Kareem typed a reply, deleted it, then put the phone down. The next morning, the school doors felt heavier than ever. Whispers followed him like shadows. Teachers avoided his gaze. Brock walked through the halls, bandage on his cheek, fake humility in his step, like a man soaking in glory. "You okay, man?" someone asked him, trying to be. Brock said, "Just praying for him, you know?" The lie was flawless. The performance, perfect. But not everyone bought it. Lena glared at him. "You're disgusting." Brock smirked. Careful. Wouldn't want to be seen defending him. That afternoon, Reggie met with the principal, Mrs. Kincaid, a woman who smiled like a politician. "We're investigating both sides," she said. But several students confirmed Brock's version of events. "Did any of them record what started it?" Reggie asked. She hesitated. "We haven't found footage yet." Reggie stood. "You'll find it, because if you don't, I will. And when I do, you'll answer for letting a liar ruin a good kid's life." That night, Lena came to the gym. Kareem was there, gloves on, hitting the bag in silence. "Hey," she said, softly, "you okay?" He didn't answer, just kept punching. "I know you didn't hit him. I'll prove it." He stopped, finally looking at her. "You can't fight lies with truth, unless people want to hear it." Lena shook her head. "Then, we'll make them listen." Outside, snow began to fall again, thick and endless. The city lights blurred behind the flakes. Inside the gym, Kareem hit the bag one last time. Thud. 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 Each strike echoed with purpose. He wasn't fighting to win anymore. He was fighting to clear his name. Monday morning arrived. Like a hangover, the whole school could feel. The rumor had already evolved. Faster, louder, meaner. Now, Kareem wasn't just the kid who hit Brock. He was the dangerous transfer from Detroit. The kind of story people loved because it made them feel safe on their side of the line. Lena walked through the hall, eyes burning. Everywhere she looked, screens flashed the same clip. Brock falling backward, fake shock plastered on his face. But no one asked what happened before that moment. They didn't care about truth. They cared about spectacle. In the principal's office, Mrs. Kincaid sat behind her desk, smiling politely, as if nothing about the situation made her stomach turn. Across from her sat Uncle Reggie, his arms crossed, jaw tight. "You're telling me," Reggie said slowly, "that you're going to suspend my nephew for defending himself, even though you don't have full evidence." Mrs. Kincaid adjusted her glasses. "We're not calling it punishment. It's a precaution." Reggie leaned forward. "Precaution against what? The truth?" Her smile wavered. "Look, Mr. Tolliver, emotions are high. We just want to avoid further incidents." Reggie stood, his voice low. "You're not avoiding anything. You're hiding from it." He turned and walked out. Kareem followed silently, the weight of every whisper echoing in his head. That afternoon, Lena sat in the school library, laptop open, headphones in. Her fingers flew across the keys. She wasn't just angry anymore. She was determined. If the school wouldn't find the truth, she would. She searched every corner of social media, TikTok, Instagram, Snap, post after post of the same angle. Then finally she found it. A small video uploaded to a private story. It was grainy, filmed from the corner of the gym near the bleachers. The clip started earlier than the others. It showed Logan accidentally spilling the punch, then Brock stepping forward, taunting Kareem. And then, clear as daylight, Brock pretending to fall before Kareem even moved. Her heart skipped. "Got you," she whispered. By evening, she was at Reggie's gym. Kareem was training silently, focused on the bag. Each strike timed with his breath. Lena burst in, laptop in hand. "Stop hitting things for 1 second," she shouted. He blinked, pulling off his gloves. "What?" She turned the screen toward him. "Watch." He leaned in. Saw Brock spill the drink. Saw the shove. Saw the fake fall. When the clip ended, he just stared at the wall for a long time. Finally, he said, "He planned it." Lena nodded. "And now we can prove it." Reggie walked over, arms crossed. "You sure this is solid?" "It's from another student's account," she said. "Timestamp, location, everything. You can't fake this." Reggie smiled faintly for the first time in days. "Then we're not going back to that school tomorrow. We're going to the district office." The next morning, Mrs. Kincaid's smile didn't last long. Reggie placed the laptop on her desk, hit play, and folded his arms. By the time the video ended, the color had drained from her face. "Where did you?" she began. "Doesn't matter," Reggie interrupted. "What matters is you suspended the wrong kid." She swallowed. "This changes things." Reggie leaned closer. "You're damn right it does." Word spread again, fast, but different this time. The video went viral within hours. Students shared it, commented, reposted. Hashtag Justice for Kareem started trending in the local feed. And Brock Simmons? He vanished, skipped class, deleted his socials. By afternoon, whispers turned into outrage. He set him up. Brock faked it. He almost ruined that kid's life. That evening, Kareem walked down the hallway toward his locker for the first time since the dance. This time, the laughter was gone. The silence felt different, not mocking, but heavy, guilty. Lena walked beside him, chin up. "Feels strange, doesn't it?" End of paragraph. Kincaid sat across from a man in a gray suit, one Kareem didn't know existed. He was from the school board's legal division, and his tone was smooth, but dangerous. "We appreciate your quick handling of the incident," he said, "but it would be wise to keep the school's name out of further controversy." Kincaid frowned. The boy was innocent. The footage clears him. The man smiled thinly. "Which is why the footage will be archived. We'll release a statement saying it was a misunderstanding." "You're asking me to lie. I'm asking you to protect your career." The next morning, Reggie called the district for a copy of the video report. They told him there was no record, no complaint, no file. Someone had already buried it. He slammed the phone down. "They're covering it up again." Kareem's face went cold. "Why?" Reggie looked at both of them. "We don't fight their system. We show the world how broken it is." That night, Kareem uploaded his own video. He didn't shout. He didn't accuse. He just told the story, calmly, truthfully. "They said I hit him. I didn't. They said I was dangerous. I'm not. I'm just tired of being treated like the story they want, instead of the truth that scares them." His voice was quiet, but it carried weight. By morning, the video hit 50,000 views. Messages poured in from parents, teachers, and students across the country. Stories like his, names like his, pain like his. For the first time, Kareem's silence became something powerful, not absence, but presence. And in one city school district, That silence was about to make the system tremble. The sun rose cold over Lansing, but for Kareem Tolliver, light no longer meant warmth. By morning, his video had spread beyond Michigan, shared, debated, dissected. Local news anchors ran it between commercials. National blogs picked it up, under headlines like High School Scandal, Who's Lying, and Detroit Teen Speaks Out Against School Injustice. For a moment, it felt like justice was finally winning. But fame, like fire, burns the hand that strikes the match. At Millstone High, the halls felt tighter. Half the students smiled at Kareem now, murmuring words like respect and courage. The other half glared, not because they still believed Brock, but because they hated being proven wrong. Lena walked beside him, protective and alert. "You know you broke the internet, right?" she said softly. Kareem shrugged. "Then why do I feel worse?" She sighed. "Because you're living in a world that apologizes in silence but hates out loud." Down the hallway, a new poster caught his eye. Millstone's Code of Conduct hearing, Thursday. Underneath, in smaller letters, topic, student misconduct and online defamation. Kareem's stomach tightened. "They're turning this on me." Lena frowned. "They wouldn't." "Yes, they would." His voice was calm, but his eyes burned. "They always find a way to make the truth look like trouble." Across town, Brock Simmons sat in his father's study, curtains drawn, the smell of cigar smoke filling the room. Mr. Simmons was the kind of man whose name opened doors and closed investigations. He watched the viral clips on his laptop, jaw tightening with each view count. "This kid is ruining our name," he said. "Dad, it was just a joke," Brock started. "No," his father snapped. "It was a mistake, and mistakes like this end careers." Brock swallowed hard. "What do we do?" Mr. Simmons leaned back, his voice calm but venomous. "We remind the world that perception is power. You can't beat truth with facts, son, but you can drown it in noise." He picked up his phone. Time to make some calls. By the next morning, Kareem's name flooded every platform again, but not for the same reason. Fake screenshots surfaced, showing him threatening classmates. Edited photos placed him at protests he'd never attended. Accounts pretending to be his posted aggressive comments under news stories. Within hours, the same people who'd called him brave were calling him dangerous again. Lena stormed into the gym where Kareem trained. "They're smearing you. Look." He wiped sweat from his face, took her phone, and scrolled. Post after post, lies layered on lies. He handed the phone back calmly. "I expected this." She stared at him, angry. "You're just going to let them?" "No," he said, "but I won't fight lies with noise." That's what they want. That evening, Reggie came home with a newspaper in hand. Front page, "Teen who cried wolf, new doubts in Millstone case." He threw it on the table. "They're calling you a liar again." Kareem glanced at it, then at his uncle. "You always told me, power hates to lose quietly." Reggie nodded slowly. "Yeah, but it also fights dirty." He sat across from his nephew. "You've got two choices now. Back down, or dig deeper. But understand, if you dig, you won't just be fighting a bully. You'll be fighting the system that protects him." Kareem's answer was simple. "Then I'll fight it." Thursday came cold and gray. The kind of morning that feels like the world is waiting for something to break. The auditorium filled with students, staff, and board members. At the front table sat Mrs. Kincaid, pale and nervous. Beside her, the district's legal rep, the same man with the gray suit and colder smile. and across from them, Kareem and Reggie. The microphone crackled. This hearing, the rep began, is to determine whether Mr. Tolliver's online actions have caused reputational harm to Millstone High and its students. Reggie leaned in. You mean whether telling the truth made you uncomfortable? The man ignored him. We appreciate everyone's cooperation. Then the lights dimmed slightly as a projector hummed to life, displaying screenshots, posts, headlines. Evidence, they called it. Lena sat in the audience, fuming. She knew half of those screenshots were fake. But every nod from the board members felt like a verdict. When it was Kareem's turn to speak, the room held its breath. He stood slowly, hands steady, voice calm. You've spent a week talking about who I am, instead of what I showed you. You want to know why I made that video? Because people like me don't get believed until there's proof. And sometimes, even proof isn't enough. You can try to make me the problem, but I'm not. I'm the reflection you don't want to see. Silence. Then from the back, someone started clapping. Another followed. Then another. Soon the whole room was on its feet. Students, even teachers. Kareem didn't smile. He just nodded once and sat down. The board members looked uneasy. The man in the gray suit leaned toward Mrs. Kincaid. We're losing control of this. She whispered back, maybe that's a good thing. That night, Kareem's speech hit the internet. It spread faster than his first video. The hashtags returned, stronger, louder, untamed. Justice for Kareem trended again, but this time, so did something new. Hashtag the system is broken. But victory came with shadows. At 1 a.m., Reggie's phone buzzed. Unknown number. A distorted voice said, tell your nephew to stop talking, or next time the punches won't be in the ring. Then, click. Reggie stared at the phone, face pale. Kareem looked up from the couch. What? Reggie forced a smile. Nothing. Go to bed. But as he turned off the light, he couldn't shake the truth. Someone powerful was scared. And scared people with power were the most dangerous kind. The next day, a black SUV idled outside the gym. Inside, Brock sat quietly beside his father. Mr. Simmons scrolled through his phone, smirking. They think they've won, but we're not done yet. Brock shifted nervously. Dad, maybe we should just let it go. His father turned, eyes like steel. Do you know how much money I've spent cleaning your name? You will do what I tell you. Brock's throat tightened. What do you want me to do? Mr. Simmons leaned close. You'll apologize on camera, and then you'll twist it. Make him look unstable. Make him angry again. Brock swallowed hard, and if he doesn't react? The man smiled coldly. Then we make him. Snowflakes drifted over Riverside Park, settling on the frozen grass like ash. The city's heart beat quietly beneath gray skies, unaware that another battle for truth was about to begin. Inside the Tolliver household, the air was thick with tension. Kareem sat at the kitchen table, phone buzzing every few seconds with notifications, mentions, interviews, podcasts, journalists. The story had grown beyond him now. Reggie placed a mug of coffee in front of his nephew. They'll come for you again. Not fists this time. Cameras. Kareem looked up. Let them. I'm done hiding. Reggie shook his head. You're playing chess with people who build the board. Remember that. Across town, Mr. Simmons sat in his office. The kind of room where even the silence felt expensive. He leaned over a mahogany desk, phone to his ear. Yes. We'll host it at City Hall. Public, clean, controlled. My son will apologize. He'll act sincere. We'll invite the press, and that boy will show his true colors. He hung up and turned to Brock, who sat stiffly in a leather chair. Dad, Brock said quietly. What if it backfires? Mr. Simmons smiled thinly. Then we'll make sure it doesn't. The next morning, flyers appeared all over Millstone High. Press conference. Brock Simmons speaks out. Community forum on forgiveness. Students whispered. Teachers avoided the topic. Everyone knew what it really was, a performance. Lena stormed into the gym where Kareem trained. They're baiting you. Don't go. He kept his gloves on, punching the heavy bag rhythmically. Thud, thud, thud. I'm going, he said. Why? She demanded. He stopped, breathing hard. Because they've been writing my story since I got here. Time I finish the last page myself. Saturday came cold and blinding, snow reflecting sunlight like shards of glass. Outside City Hall, news vans lined the street. Reporters adjusted cameras, microphones pointed toward the steps. Brock stood at the podium in a pressed suit, his father just behind him, hand resting proudly on his shoulder. The crowd murmured. Kareem arrived with Reggie and Lena. No entourage, no PR team, just truth walking into a trap. Flashbulbs erupted as he approached. One reporter called out, Kareem, are you here to start trouble? Another shouted, do you accept Brock's apology? He didn't answer. He didn't need to. His silence was steady, deliberate, the calm before impact. Brock leaned into the microphone, voice trembling just enough to sound rehearsed. I want to apologize for how things got out of hand. I made mistakes. Kareem and I come from different worlds, and sometimes misunderstandings happen. The crowd murmured approval. Mr. Simmons watched proudly. Then Brock continued, eyes downcast. But after everything, I still don't feel safe. I've received messages, threats, from people claiming to be his supporters. This has gone too far. Cameras flashed again. Gasps rippled. Reggie whispered, there it is, the setup. Brock's father nodded subtly to a man near the press tent. That man stepped forward, pretending to be a journalist, phone recording, and shouted, Kareem, what do you have to say for yourself? Do you deny threatening people? The crowd turned to him like a wave. Dozens of phones lifted. For a heartbeat, time froze. Every instinct told Kareem to walk away, to stay silent. But silence was what they'd always used against him. He stepped forward slowly, snow crunching under his boots, and faced the microphone. You want to hear something real? He said. His voice carried, calm, clear, unshaken. They call this forgiveness. But what it really is performance. You don't want peace. You want control. You want me quiet so you can feel clean again. Brock's face paled. You lied, Kareem said softly, his voice echoing in the cold. You built your safety on my silence. But the truth doesn't owe you comfort. The crowd hushed. The cameras rolled. And then chaos. The man in the press badge stepped closer, phone out, shouting, he's getting aggressive. Look. Security moved. One officer reached for his holster. Lena screamed, he's unarmed. But before anything could spiral, Reggie stepped forward, holding up his own phone. Keep recording, he said loudly, because this time they don't get to edit the ending. At that exact moment, a different feed went live online. One Lena had scheduled the night before. It wasn't just the press conference. It was everything. Hidden camera footage of Mr. Simmons planning the event. Audio clips of him saying, make him angry and record it. Brock's voice on the phone the night before, whispering, Dad, I don't want to do this. The truth hit the internet before anyone at City Hall even realized it was happening. Within minutes, the live chat exploded. Hashtag Justice for Kareem. Hashtag Simmons exposed. Hashtag Truth can't be trapped. Brock looked at his father, panic spreading. "What did you do?" he whispered. Mr. Simmons' mask cracked, fury flashing through his polished calm. "How?" Lena raised her phone, showing him the live feed. "Smile for the camera." The crowd turned. Reporters shouted questions. Security swarmed. And in the middle of the chaos, Kareem stood still, eyes steady on Brock. "You could have ended this with an apology," he said. "Instead, you built another lie. Now it's yours to live with." By nightfall, the video had been viewed over 5 million times. Mr. Simmons was under investigation. Brock's fake apology was replayed on every news channel, next to proof of his father's manipulation. But for Kareem, the victory didn't feel sweet. It felt heavy, like closure wrapped in exhaustion. Later that night, Kareem sat on the steps of Reggie's gym, the snow melting under his boots. Lena joined him quietly. "You did it," she said softly. He shook his head. "We did it, but it shouldn't take all this for people to believe what's real." She smiled faintly. "Maybe that's why it matters. You made them see." He looked at her, eyes calm, but sad. "Yeah, I just wish seeing meant changing." Inside the gym, Reggie turned off the TV. The news anchor's voice faded. The Tolliver case, now being called The Lesson in Truth, has sparked national conversations about race, power, and accountability. He looked out the window at his nephew sitting under the streetlight. For the first time in a long time, Reggie smiled. That night, as the snow stopped falling, Kareem whispered to himself, They wanted to trap me in a lie, but I gave them the truth instead." He stood, breathing in the cold air, every exhale turning into mist, disappearing, but real, proof that silence could still move mountains. Snow melted from the streets of Lansing as winter began to fade. For weeks, the story of Kareem Tolliver had dominated the news cycle, debated in classrooms, discussed on podcasts, dissected on morning TV. But somewhere beyond the headlines, the boy who started it all just wanted peace. Inside Reggie's gym, the ring ropes creaked as Kareem finished a slow round of shadowboxing. Sweat glistened under the yellow light, his breath steady. No cameras, no noise, just the rhythm of his own heartbeat. Reggie leaned on the ropes. "You've come a long way from that quiet kid who didn't want to hit back." Kareem smiled faintly. "Didn't say I wouldn't, just said I'd pick the right fights." Reggie nodded, eyes proud but tired. "And you picked the hardest one. Truth." Across town, in an office once lined with influence, Mr. Simmons faced a very different kind of audience. Federal investigators. Files spread across the desk. Bank records. Phone logs. Audio clips. He tried to smile, but his voice shook. "This is ridiculous. I was protecting my son." The agent across from him replied evenly. "You weren't protecting him. You were teaching him that lies fix everything." The man lowered his gaze. "Maybe I was." Meanwhile, Brock Simmons walked the empty halls of Millstone High, every footstep echoing. He wasn't a villain in whispers anymore. He was a ghost. Students turned away. Teachers nodded politely, but their eyes said, "We know." In the counselor's office, he sat across from Mrs. Kincaid. She sighed softly. "You understand the damage, Brock. Not just to Kareem. To everyone who believed you?" He nodded slowly. "I thought my dad would fix everything. I didn't know he'd make it worse." Kincaid studied him for a moment. "Apologies mean nothing unless you live differently after them." He whispered, I know. At the gym that night, Kareem hid the bag in silence. Lena sat nearby, scrolling through her phone. You're trending again. He groaned softly. Please tell me it's not for another interview. She smiled. No, the governor just announced new anti-bullying legislation. They're calling it the Tolliver Amendment. He blinked. What? It forces schools to make investigations transparent. You changed more than your own story, Kareem. You changed the rules. For a moment, he didn't say anything. Then, he laughed quietly. Guess, I finally won something that matters. Later that week, he was invited to speak at Millstone's assembly. He almost said no. But Reggie reminded him, sometimes silence is survival. Other times, it's surrender. You gotta decide which this is. So he went. The gymnasium felt smaller now. Familiar. The same space where he once stood accused, now filled with cameras, lights, and faces waiting to listen. Kareem stepped up to the podium. No notes, no speech, just honesty. I didn't plan to be anyone's story. I just wanted to go to school and live quiet. But when people decide who you are before you speak, sometimes silence becomes your prison. So I spoke, not because I'm brave, but because I got tired of watching lies win. The room was still. He looked around, students, teachers, even Brock, standing at the back. You don't have to fight with fists to stand for yourself, Kareem continued. You just have to stand. Even if your voice shakes, even if the world calls you wrong before hearing you out. I forgave Brock. Not because he deserves it, but because I deserve peace. Brock lowered his eyes, shame washing across his face. Kareem ended simply. We all want to be seen. Just make sure what you're seeing is real. The applause started small, then spread like ripples in still water. Some clapped with tears in their eyes. Even Mrs. Kincaid stood. And when Kareem stepped down, Brock walked toward him, slow, hesitant. He extended a trembling hand. I'm sorry, he said quietly. Kareem studied him for a moment, then shook his hand. Don't say sorry to me. Prove it to yourself. That night, as snowflakes returned softly to the quiet city, Kareem walked home alone. For the first time, the air didn't feel heavy. He passed the gym, the park, the school, all pieces of a story that had nearly broken him. He smiled faintly to himself. He wasn't the Detroit kid anymore. He wasn't the angry student. He was just Kareem Tolliver, the kid who refused to stay silent. Foz. Reggie stood at the ring, wiping down the ropes. He looked up as Kareem entered. You ready for your next fight? Reggie asked with a grin. Kareem smiled. I think I already won it. They turned off the lights, locking the door behind them. Outside, the city glowed, warm, alive, and new. Foz. Reggie stood at the ring, wiping down the ropes. He was the boy they tried to silence, but truth spoke louder. In a world where lies travel fast, his courage traveled farther. Remember, silence can protect you, but only truth can free you. If you believe justice starts with a voice, like, share, and subscribe for more stories where truth stands tall.